reason, no logic. G'day lads, it's a 2 versus 2 and another submission on our Discord replays. Link in the description below if you want to see yours up here. While I'm at the self-promoting, if you trip over that like and subscribe button on the way down, we would certainly enjoy that. I'm Twig and with me is Pradith and Tank Tom.
You're joining us on Red Comet Remake, which is quite a metal-heavy map for a 2v2. All of these metal spots being 2.3 and there being a very large volume of them as they run into the middle. Also a couple of unique features such as these valleys and cliffs, traversable by bots, not by vehicles, so definitely gives you the chance to go bots, but because of how wide open the plane is, vehicles may well be the choice. Tank Tom will introduce our players for us.
So we've got Fireball leading the blue team here. And then over on the red side, we've got Atlas Failed at 34. We can see that we've got Cortex vehicles on the red side. And then we've got Armada bots coming out of the left side from blue. So it should be an interesting matchup with both players going for the same factions and units.
Definitely it should be good to see the clash of some bots and some tanks. I do think the tanks will have an advantage because of the wide open space, but the additional attack avenues will be very good. One thing to note is that there's a pretty significant OS difference between these teams. The red team has a 28 and a 34, but the blue team has a 17 and an 18. Though looking at their experience chevrons, they have approximately equal experience in the game, so it should give blue a fighting chance. If you've never seen that chevron before for Fireball, we believe that's a moderator's chevron, because we know Fireball is from the Beyond All Reason team, and that might actually be why this game isn't overly even at the moment. And speaking of Fireball, he's inside the red base, shutting off one of the solars, nearly manages to get a metal extractor, but not quite. Good micro and good early aggression out of him. As we say, aggression wins games, and using that bot advantage, managing to get some grunts all the way across the map when the only thing there to respond to them is rascals.
They did a good job for the blue side getting those units out early and getting them across the map.
And one of the things that makes this even better for bots is if you look at the wind at the moment, the max of 4, which means that the wind is never overly efficient. Yep. And so going vehicles is going to starve you like crazy, and we're seeing that right now with Fireball inside red's base, and there is nothing that they can do about it. Looks like red's going to fall pretty damn hard from the get-go, so maybe the OSs aren't showing the full range of the skill here, because this is red down, his main base completely down. If Fireball had a red spot in here, this would be a gold mine. And sending
so that's red's base completely gone.
3 incisors.
It'll be interesting to see if
3 incisors there to stop the pawns from pushing up. It does look like they're going to be cleaned up.
you can see that they're all grouped together, all those pawns with the movement. It'd be interesting to see a few of them split off to come in around the backside, even if it's not necessarily to kill the solars, but just to close them up.
Getting any damage on a solar does in fact close it. One thing to look at though, just because of all the damage done to the red team, it doesn't actually mean they're out of the game. There's so much metal left behind for reclaim that unless the blue team manages to get in and do something to stop them from taking it, they should be able to recover at least somewhat. And it does look like the red comm is heading in to reclaim that metal and try and get restarted. So we'll see whether yellow, with his stronger vehicles, is able to hold off the rest of the players. And looking at green's base, very reasonably sparse on the units coming out. A group of his were sent to clean up red off the bottom side, did chase away the commander and a couple of LLTs. And it does look like
economies are fairly even at this stage,
which is surprising,
despite the fact that red lost their base.
But there is the first attack coming in for the yellow team, but it definitely doesn't look like this is going to be enough. getting a good surround on those incisors, trying to pull them out, but they're running straight into an LLT and fire from more pawns. They do get a mexes, but they have just donated 5 incisors worth of metal to the blue team. So that attack I wouldn't call overly successful, not compared to the single rascal that got around behind and destroyed a couple of mexes and what looks to be a constructor.
That's something to keep in mind. Every time that a vehicle loses an engagement, you leave more metal on your opponent's front line than you do if you're losing bots to them.
You have to try and take winning engagements, I think is the end result of that, and with tanks, being tactical with them is even more important than with bots.
We can see that the red base is coming up online again.
Definitely a rough start for From Behind, but who knows, maybe his name is that for a reason, and he's good at coming back from behind. And this is an example of how you don't want to use those incisors. They attacked into a point with LLTs, and they managed to get away relatively unscathed and stopped an LLT from coming up. But if they'd scooted all the way to the edge of the map, they would have just been able to run on through. And I'd actually I would have rated 8 LLTs against the 10 pawns that are there. You had to run past Fireball's comm, which could be a big amount of damage. Yep, there goes the D-gun, and 5 of them do pull away. Not wanting to meet the same fate, but good D-gun out of Fireball, good map awareness. Great to see devs actually playing their games. Something which, or at least something which is, I guess, not happening enough these days, I reckon.
Yeah, it is great to see the people working on the games actually enjoying what they're playing and being involved in the communities as well. Great to see.
And here we go. This is what I'm talking about with tanks. Sending these up into the top where there's little to no defense, even though these pawns are here, so long as these incisors just follow their whole way around, there is nothing that Fireball would be able to do about this. 11 incisors, so long as they're spread out so they can all fire, will just push straight through all of this, even throwing these pawns in the way, provided all the firepower is actually able to shoot, which it isn't when they're grouped up like that. They shouldn't take any real losses going through.
While this has been happening, some green pawns are pushing into the red base. They've managed to take out a constructor already, but I don't think they're going to get much else done at this stage.
Yeah, going up against those pounders, I think that they're reasonably safe. And that's the
And
attack
now that we're at this
cleaned up.
stage of the game, that there's units flowing out of those bases, it's going to be significantly harder for the bots to push in.
Again, we're
Unlike the vehicles
we're seeing some very minor micro mistakes with the vehicles. They're just not engaging efficiently, but there's so many of them it doesn't overly matter, and they're cleaning up blue's base, so it is Fireball's turn to be completely shut down, though pulling away before taking the lab and trying to get damage in to the green player. Those incisors taking quite the pounding, trying to take out the constructor and getting quite close to that LLT to take it out. Doesn't look like they're going to be cleaned up by this LLT, but they have gone through and absolutely destroyed most of the energy production for the blue team. And even though they've left a metal deposit behind, when there's no energy to spend the metal, that's when that sort of thing is actually okay, because if a team has 2,000 metal but no energy, doesn't actually help them very much.
You need both metal and energy to turn it into units to actually come out. Looks like the green commander's in trouble here.
A little bit of lack of micro there, and getting it taken out by these brutes. Great job. And From Behind already has his comm in location to reclaim it, and it does look like he's going to repair those tanks and potentially then reclaim it, trying to get as many mexes as possible and bringing more brutes forward to reinforce. With the amount of grunts and eco in the back line, I actually think that this has turned right around into yellow's favor, because currently the only defenses are LLTs, and look at the power from these two players. In particular, Fireball is defending with LLTs and he's zeroed out on power. He's surviving entirely on the overflow from Hugh.
This game does a good job of essentially representing the differences between bots and vehicles. Bots are fantastic early. You can kill vehicles with bots, but once vehicles start massing, bots become significantly less effective against them.
the one of the things that's happening is the blue team is letting the red team play their vehicle game. What the blue team needs to do is pick apart the vehicles, because vehicles can't be everywhere. They're a giant hammer. Wherever they are, they're dealing damage and they're doing a good job, but you need to keep them where they don't need to be. So, for example, if we look at the bases, there's nothing in reds to defend. There's one LLT in yellows to defend. Just constantly sending units in, and like in particular this bottom side from red. That was
blue and yellow.
That was a comm going down and I missed it. That's GG as the second comm goes down. And a win for the red team just based off of using that sledgehammer to take down the last comm in the game.
I sat there quietly, gents, just trying to be quiet and take in what was happening around the map. Yeah, just at the end there, Atlas failed seeing the commander and knowing that he's got another comm in the red base as a backup, just using the comm as the weapon to take out the last remaining commander for the blue team. And what I think really benefited or would benefit the viewers at the start is the red team was definitely at a loss. They didn't have the units out in the field when the red base went down. But what red was doing, from behind was doing, was throwing all his metal through to Atlas Failed so he could get out enough incisors to stop that early aggression from the blue player. And that's what really saved them, because that was the point that the green and blue player could have won this game, was when they had all those units out in the field. But the incisor is the perfect counter with that laser that doesn't really miss those pawns and outranges them as well. So nicely done to From Behind for getting that metal across to the yellow player and not giving up like we see a lot of players do in this game.
Great job to everyone here, and if you enjoyed the video, jump on down, leave us a like, drop us a comment. If you want to drop us a replay, it's in the Discord's in the description below. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll catch you next time.